And I'm going to do it by way of an example. I had a chance to sit down with the CEO of Microsoft. He was here seeing the president of China when he was in town. And they invited 5 or 6 freshmen to sit down at a conference table with him in the Capitol, and they asked me to do it, and so I was happy to talk to the CEO of Microsoft. And basically he said this, he said, our first concern at Microsoft is that the Chinese steal all of our software. They pay like for 15% of the software that they use, but they steal the rest of it. There's no laws in place to make sure we can get paid for the software. Number one. Number two, he said, we educate some of the brightest minds in America. I mean, there's the brightest minds in the world in America, like at MIT and at Harvard, and we don't let any of those minds stay here. We make them go back to their countries of origin, or maybe we should try to keep those new innovative minds in our country. So that's problem number two. He said number three, he said, we were going to do a new expansion at Microsoft, right? And to do that expansion in America, it was going to cost us an extra $1 billion to do it here versus somewhere else. To which I was like, why is it going to cost an extra $1 billion to do this here? He said, well, if you look at mandates and if you look at regulations in America, they're going to increase the costs. But he also said, if you look at the way American taxes its businesses, what they do is say, listen, if you're an American business and you make money overseas, when you bring that money back home, you pay corporate taxes on it when you repatriate those funds. And money, you might go, that is a great idea. You should pay taxes when you bring the money home. The problem is no one else does that. We're the only country that's doing that. Most countries are saying, listen, we want these profits to come home, so they reinvest these profits in our country's innovation, in our country's jobs. So when they calculated that that cost of repatriation, along with the mandates and the regulation, we sat at, they said it's $1 billion extra. So I said, well, where did you do it? And I guess where did Microsoft do their expansion? Vancouver, British Columbia. They did the expansion. They're a Seattle-based company that went right across the border to make the expansion there. And these are now Canadian jobs. It's a Canadian investment.
Just back to something that you said here.
What is their health care cost for the Vancouver expansion? How much do they have to contribute to employee health care when they expand in Canada?
That wasn't the reason he gave me.
I'm sure it wasn't. But if you look at what small entrepreneurs do in Canada, they have a leg up over entrepreneurs in America because they don't have a health care.
I'll get back to that in 1 second. Let me finish this one, okay? And I'll talk about health care. Let me give you, so you might, and I think you might go, listen, we have to look at, this is not 1950 or 1960 or 1980. We are now in a global marketplace. Back in the 80s, there weren't a lot of places that businesses could go succeed in America and take advantage of our great workforce. They go somewhere else. That's got to stop, and I'll give you an example. Taxes become part of it. We can all go, listen, we want the wealthy to pay more. Okay, but you have Walmart, you have Target, and you have Kmart, right? 3 big box retailers that compete against each other, right? You would all know that Kmart hasn't been doing so well recently. They're closing their stores down. They're laying people off. They're not winning in this big box competition. And if you think, okay, we need to stop it, and we're going to give advice to the Kmart board, you'd go in and go, we need more revenue. We need to keep our people employed. We've got to stop shutting our business, our stores down. Here's what we have to do to bring in more revenue. All we have to do is raise our prices. If we raise our prices, we'll bring in more money, we'll keep our stores open, and we'll keep our people employed.
That's not an apt
What happens? What happens when you do that? Because people are sensitive to price. You're just going to drive more people to Walmart and to Target. And when you drive up the cost of doing business, businesses go somewhere else. So I say, listen, I don't want to penalize businesses. I want to encourage them to come here and set up shop and put our people to work. That's what I want to do. And if you penalize them by way of mandates and regulations, and yeah, you know what? That's what I'm talking about. And listen, I don't want to have a shout down with you. Let me answer the question.
I just had
my fair share. The fair share. That's what I said. If you look at tax reform, I would agree with you. People don't always pay their fair share because both parties have done it. There are loopholes and there are nooks and crannies all over the tax code. 10,000 pages. That's you know what? Bring the rate down to 25% and take them away. Make them pay their 25%. Doesn't that make sense? Yes. So then you go, let the sun shine on the process. I'm joining with you on that point. Let's make us a fairer, flatter tax code that's transparent and we can see what's happening. And I think we're going to go far further. But this is not about big business. This is about putting people back to work. This is about going, how do we employ people? How are we competitive in a new global marketplace? How are we going to engage in a different way that's going to make us competitive in this new environment, putting our people back to work? I think it's pro-growth policies, engaging in this new environment, but building walls around us and saying we want to penalize people for leaving. It's like saying I'm going to penalize you if you leave Kmart and go to Walmart. That doesn't work.
What about Bob's point about healthcare costs in Canada?
Healthcare. Let me tell you what. If you look at healthcare costs, this is going to be an extra $1 trillion package through PPACA, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but PPACA or Obamacare. I'm not saying Obamacare to be offensive. I'll say PPACA, but that's what I'm referencing to that. I don't mean to offend you.
We're talking about the Canadian healthcare system.
I'm talking about our proposal, and I'm saying, listen. First of all, when leaders in the world are sick, they're not going to Canada. They're coming to America. If you look at, it's $1 trillion bill. And this is the proposal is this: we're not going to change the way we're doing business with healthcare delivery. We're going to change who pays for it with PPACA. We're just changing. So we're not addressing the fundamental root cause of why prices are going up year over year. And we're going to add more people on to the system in America, saying we're going to pay for their care. And here's where I come with this from. You know what? I'm going to make sure that I find a way first to meet the obligations that we currently have. Our seniors have paid into the system, and they deserve to get their dollars back out. Let's figure out how we pay for our seniors' Medicare and their Social Security before we add more people onto the system. Let's do that first, and once Congress comes together and figures these numbers out, then sit and have a conversation about telling more people they can get more from the government. But right now, this hasn't been figured out. The parties haven't come together to make it happen. And with that, I think it's a mistake to add more people on. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I hear you saying two contradictory things about taxes. One, you want to reform the tax code so that corporations pay more, and two, you don't want corporations to pay so much so that they'll somehow stimulate business. So I don't understand that contradiction. But,
can I answer that first, then you go to the next question?
The Congressional Budget Office a couple of times.
Sure.
They're a nonpartisan organization. The Ryan budget proposes to turn Medicare into a voucher program.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Well, that's
Yes,
what my understanding is. That's what it is.
There's no
And the
voucher.
Congressional Budget Office thinks that's the case because they calculated the extra cost to seniors if it goes into a voucher program, and it's going to be trillions of dollars for those of us, for those young men like this fellow up here in front, who are going to have to pay more.
Listen, first of all, it's a premium support. It's not a voucher. But let me tell you this. The bottom line is, if we do nothing, you can all say, listen, and I can come and tell you, this is all fine and dandy. It's all going to work, and you know what? You can get it. And I don't know any young people here. You can all get this program. The bottom line is,
I agree that if we do nothing, we're in trouble.
That's right.
Why we have to raise taxes on the rich and raise taxes on the corporations.
And then
rich have never been richer in the history of our country than they are now. And you guys just cut their taxes again.
No.
That is
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you what
He
I'm
wasn't in when that vote was made, so he
No, hold on.
when they gave
when you
the
say
tax
cut-
break,
no,
he
no, no.
wasn't. He didn't get that vote.
When you say cutting taxes, if taxes maintain the same level and rate, is that a tax cut? No, that's not a tax cut.
We're maintaining the same level and rate of a cut that was made years ago.
So okay,
Yeah.
and so here's
It was sold on the premise of creating jobs by giving more money to the wealthy.
And they're creating
No
part of our deficit.
evidence that cutting taxes stimulates economic growth.
well. You guys,